Hi, it's Tony Seal. Welcome to the second episode of the podcast, Build Your Business, Change Your Life. This is the podcast of Irresistible Influence Marketing and TonySeal.com. I'm your host, Tony Seal, and today we're going to go a bit further with starting your own podcast. Let's dive right in. On the first episode, I talked about why I'm doing a podcast, why you should do a podcast for your business, and how you can start podcasting. It's that last piece that I want to focus on today. We're going to go a bit further than we did last week. We'll start today's journey with a brief recap of how you can start podcasting, and then we'll put some more meat on the bones, with apologies to any vegetarians or vegans among us. So here we go. How to start your podcast. First, what is your podcast going to be about? Do you want to cover your entire business niche or just a small portion of it? 2, will your format be you talking or interviewing guests? Will you share hosting duties? Will it be a storytelling format? Or will you combine forms? After you've answered those questions, it's time to prepare your first episode. You may choose to freewheel it, and that could work great for you. Some people can hit record and just start talking. For most of us, scripting our words works best. You can record from your smartphone to start, or a portable digital recorder. I'll talk about what I'm using shortly. An intro and an outro adds a little class to your podcast. Start with a few seconds of music. Add a short introduction that includes the name of the podcast, your name, the episode number, and what you'll be talking about. For your outro, you can say something like, "You've been listening to ... Once you've recorded your episode, it's time to edit it. MP3 is the generally accepted norm for audio files, and you'll do well to use that format. For editing, Audacity is a free option, and for this episode, I'm using Audacity. I recommend that you use 128 kbps bitrate and 44.1 megahertz sample rate. Before you publish your podcast, create some artwork for your cover. You can easily prepare cover art using the free program Canva. You'll find it at canva.com, C-A-N-V-A. ID3 tags will help your audience find your work, so you'll want to add them before you publish your podcast. These will include your podcast name, title of the episode, and what the episode is about. MP3 Tag is a free program and will help you do this. Finally is distribution. I'm going to go into that a little bit in just a minute. Your first episode will likely take the most time to prepare, but once you've done it a time or two, it should be easy to keep doing it. It'll be fun to watch your audience grow. The day after my first episode, my website audience grew by over 9.6%. On day 2, that audience size continued. Now let's go a little bit more in depth. I'm going to add some details here that I believe you're going to find helpful. Last week I offered you some basics for choosing the overall theme of your podcast, how to format it and record it, edit it, some other preparation, but let's go through it with a little bit more depth. First, once you have your topic, filling in a template can be a helpful way for organizing your thoughts, and here are 3 free options. First, Michael Hyatt has created a template for a blog post that can easily be adapted to podcasting. It's inside Evernote. I've linked to this and some other things as well on my blog, TonySeal.com. It's all under How to Create a Podcast at a Tight Budget, Part 2. Second, inside the Ginkgo app, that's Gingko, is a score template. Score is spelled S-C-O-R-R-E, and that template is really very good. Third is a template from Voices.com for a more elaborate program. I'm going to walk through that. First, they suggest that you have a musical jingle opening. Second is your introduction. It's a monologue-style introduction that introduces your hosts and what you will talk about on your show. Third, they recommend a segue. It could be a musical segue or a sound effect. And then is topic 1. And they suggest that you talk for about 3 minutes. Next is a vocal segue. It goes something like this. We're going to move on and talk about ... Then is topic 2, and you talk for about another 3 minutes. The 7th part of this template is consider adding a sponsored message or podcast advertisement. And I've got a link to podcast advertisement if you're interested in that. 8 is a musical segue. And then 9 is topic 3. and you talk again for about 3 minutes. 10 is closing remarks. You thank the audience, your guests, and you preview what will be on your next show. And then 11 is a closing musical jingle. If you have 3 topics to talk about, that's a really nice format. I have Michael Hyatt's template in Evernote that I use for my episodes. Third, record your show. You can do this with your smartphone using the iPhone's voice memos or Android's voice recorder. Or you can use a digital audio recorder. You can use Audacity, GarageBand, which is a Mac program, or Adobe Audition. I use a Samson Go mic and Camtasia Studio, though I did mention I'm using Audacity for the recording this time around. 4. Edit your audio and process it to export as an MP3 file. 5. Add ID3 tags. This is easily done in Audacity and Libsyn. Libsyn is what I use to publish my podcast. Libsyn is spelled Libsyn. And then 6. Publish your show. Upload your finalized podcast MP3 file to your podcast host. As I said, that's Libsyn for me. And then 7th is distribution and promotion. Libsyn makes this really easy. Once you have a Libsyn account, which is as cheap as you go to your dashboard, you upload your media file, that would be your MP3. They ask for a thumbnail, that's where you put your cover art. And then they have social destination status. Then they have social destination status, which is where you can distribute your podcast. There's Blogger, Deezer, Libsyn Classic Feed, LinkedIn on Publish, podcast page, network app listing, radio.com mobile app, Radio Public, SoundCloud, Spotify, Tumblr, Twitter, Web Player, WordPress, and YouTube. This is one of the benefits of podcasting. You can just publish this thing to 17 different places, and it helps people find you. As it's done for me, it builds your website, it's going to build your audience, and people are going to hear your voice, which is the great thing about podcasting. There's something about the human voice. You do this, you make it a connection with your voice that is so much better than just a written word. I really do encourage you again, start a podcast, fill it with great content and different distribute as far as wide as you can, and build your audience by doing so. Next week, we're going to change subjects. We're going to be talking about branding. You've been listening to Build Your Business, Change Your Life, the podcast of Irresistible Influence Marketing and TonySeal.com. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to our next time together.